excuse whatever this is. Today's video is one I asked you guys like months ago if you guys wanted to see, and I'm finally getting around to do it today. But today I want to talk about PR products that I wouldn't have bought on my own, but I'm really glad that I have, because now that I have them and now that I was able to try them out, they have genuinely become favorites that I would repurchase again. I could probably do the converse to this video, like PR products that I didn't end up liking enough to a point where I would have repurchased them on my own, but we're gonna be positive today. That's my blood type. Just kidding, I don't know my blood type. I should probably figure that out. So while I was editing that part of the video, I got kind of curious. I decided to tweet and ask you guys how many of you know your blood type, just so I could see if I'm like, me not knowing is normal or not. And it would seem that like a lot of people in the US don't know their blood type, and that's like normal, but I don't think it should be normal. So I'm definitely going to be asking next time I go to the doctor, but yeah, if you know your blood type, that's really valuable medical information to know. And if you don't know your blood type, you can either find out by donating, or next time you go to the doctor, whenever it's safe to do so, you can go ahead and ask, and that's always a good thing to know in case of emergency situations. So I will definitely get on that and figure out my blood type soon. Anyways, I'm very lucky to get PR from a few companies. I'm not on a bunch of PR lists by any means, but getting PR does allow me to test out a bunch of fun new releases and bring you guys more makeup reviews, which is what I really enjoy. And sometimes brands will reach out and be like, hey, do you want to try this specific product from us? But most of the time brands will be like, hey, we just want to send you some things, and then they surprise you. So you don't really get to pick what products you receive, and that means sometimes you get things that you maybe wouldn't have necessarily bought on your own, but then you end up loving them. These are products I either never would have heard of if they hadn't been sent to me, or products I did see and didn't think would be right for me, but then once I got them in my hands, I realized, wow, these slap. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I am wearing my merch today. This is the original pink dewy t-shirt. Full details of this makeup look should already be on Instagram as part of the palette series, and I hope you guys enjoy this one. Let's do this! Okay, first off, let's start with the product that first came to mind when I was planning out this video. This was one of the happiest surprises of last year, because I don't ever buy new brushes. I'm not really somebody who thinks that you need to invest a ton in tools to get really effective ones, and I've always had like a pretty sizable collection of brushes, so I don't really buy brushes that often, but I do get brushes sent to me very often, and very few of those brushes end up making it into my mug, which becomes like the brushes that I use on a daily basis. But this entire brush set became a part of my daily brush routine. The Colourpop Bare Necessities brush set, this came out along with the Bare Necessities palette. That palette was a pretty high profile release, but they sent the brush set along with the palette, and I was gonna put the brush set into the giveaway as well with the palette, but I was like, you know what, maybe I should test them out again, because I had tried out Colourpop brushes previous to that. They weren't my favorite, but they weren't bad either, but these for some reason just kind of called my name. Maybe it was the blush pink. It's definitely the blush pink. These are so ridiculously high quality. They are really soft, very high quality synthetic fibers. And the reason that I love this brush set so much is because I feel like every single brush in the collection actually has a function and has a shape that I would use. Most of the time when I get a brush set, I would say there's always like 2 to 5 brushes in the collection that I don't end up using because they're just not a shape that's like functional or good. This brush set is seriously like not a single brush wasted, which I really appreciate a lot. And I would say if anybody is wanting to start off and get just good brushes to start off your makeup collection, I think this brush set's the way to go. So it's definitely not something I would have purchased on my own, just because I don't really buy brushes for myself, and it's also something I wasn't planning on keeping when I got it sent to me, but I'm so glad I did, and I use these so much. You guys know one of my favorite brands is Kaleidos makeup. I love their Futures and palettes. I'm wearing one of their glosses right now. The shade Fantasize. This is like my favorite lip gloss in my collection right now. I love Kaleidos, and I also really love their Space Age highlighters. Had I not been lucky enough to get the collection in PR, I probably would have ended up purchasing at least one of the shades just because they're incredibly unique, but I definitely would not have picked up for myself the green highlighter. This is the shade Laser Glazer, and I refer to it as my Shrek highlighter because it's green. It's straight up green. It's like a swamp. I love it. It's yeah, and it's also a shade that's a little bit too dark for me to wear on my actual cheekbone, so I don't use this one on my cheeks, and I probably would not have purchased it because obviously it's too dark for me. This is one of my favorite things to put on my eyes ever. And a lot of the time when I keep like a cheek product and I'm like, I'm gonna put that on my eyes, I usually forget about it and end up never using it. This is something I remember to reach for, just because nothing creates a pop of green in the eyes quite like this. But the formula of these highlighters is so interesting to me. This kind of looks wet on the eyes. It gives you like a wet, just like crazy neon green alien almost type of look to the eyes, which I absolutely adore. So I like using this one as like a green either topper or just like a full-on lid shade, as well as kind of like an inner corner accent highlighter. I think this is absolutely beautiful and not something I would have purchased, but it's like my favorite lime green single in my collection. It's just like a big single shadow basically. Like, that's crazy. Who would have thought?
Hey, look at us. Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought? Not me.
Speaking of fun duochrome shadows, one of my favorite brands, Moyer Cosmetics, they came out with these lucent cream shadows, which I did not see a ton of hype for, so I probably wouldn't have even known that this launch had existed unless they'd sent it to me. I never end up using like single pans that you put into a magnetic palette, but if they're singles like this, kind of like Colourpop Super Shocks, I do sometimes end up using them. They're almost like the formula of Colourpop Super Shocks. They're a cream shadow, but they have this intense reflectiveness. So this is the blue shade called Neptune. My favorite shade is Jupiter. This is kind of like Ritz, honestly. It's like a silver, but it has a little bit of green running through it as well. And I just think it looks like pure wet on the eyelids, especially like on a daily basis for class. I'll do like a very neutral crease, so like maybe bronzer in the crease, basic brown transition shades, and then I like to pop a really beautiful like eye topper or glittery accent shade on my lid, and these are perfect for that, as well as Ritz, obviously. But these are absolutely beautiful. They've been featured quite a bit on my Instagram in my glittery flat lays. Absolutely stunning and such an under the radar product that I wouldn't have ever tried or even known existed. I've talked about this before, but I really don't buy a ton of new lipsticks for myself unless they're like Colorpop. The last lipstick that I actually like bought was the Kaja Earhart, and this is just because I wanted to try out the formula. So more than likely I wouldn't have tried out these Ciate Wonder Wand lipsticks. These were a release from I believe last year. I'm so glad that like hydrating and glossy things are back in, and this was kind of at the beginning of that trend starting to come back in. But these are basically your standard creamy bullet lipsticks, hydrating, absolutely beautiful shades. The reason I love these so much is that they last incredibly long and they're so comfortable. They feel like almost like balmy on the lips, like you're wearing a lip balm, but you get these beautiful high impact shades as well. So this is the shade Sunday. I've worn Wanderlust quite often on my Instagram, and then I have this really beautiful bright red shade here called Ruby. I don't often wear reds that aren't matte, but this is like the one exception I make because it's just a beautiful color. Yeah, incredibly comfortable lipsticks. One of my favorite formulas in my collection. These are everything that I wanted the Cream Luxe lipsticks from Colourpop to be, but just so much more comfortable and so much more like long wearing. They don't get that butthole lip thing. I really cannot recommend these enough. They're just absolutely sublime.
I don't know, I just, you know.
The Alter Ego Goddess palette. So this has become one of my favorite neutral palettes in my collection, and it's a dupe of the Natasha Denona Gold palette. I personally believe that Natasha Denona's formula is inferior to that of Alter Ego. I wasn't interested in the original Natasha Denona Gold palette, so I probably would not have bought this palette, even though I do think the colors are beautiful in person. I wasn't interested in the original palette, so why would I buy the dupe palette? I'm so glad I have this because this is a beautiful color scheme. I think pictures really do not do this justice. It looks so neutral, and if you do cover up the blues, it's like not as special of a palette, but the shimmers in person for this palette, kind of like the Moira Jupiter that I just showed you, they have a little bit of like a green undertone to them. So these golds in here, they just look so unique on the eyes. They're really eye-catching, very foiled, very just interesting to look at. Definitely would not have bought this palette if it hadn't been sent to me, but this is what made me fall in love with Alter Ego's formula, and I think just in general, the color scheme really surprised me. Like, I wasn't expecting to love this as much as I did, but become a favorite. The Innisfree Lip Sleeping Mask with Green Tea. I love Innisfree skincare in general, but I wouldn't have really thought to pick up a lip balm from them. I just generally think that they have a lot more, I don't know, exciting things in their line. Innisfree has a ton of products, and I wouldn't have thought to buy this simple little lip sleeping mask from them. Right now, I'm currently trying to like go through a bunch of other lip balms right now, so I'm not really focusing on this one. I haven't used it in a while, but this for me has replaced completely the By Beauty Agave lip mask in my collection, especially now that they've reformulated it. This is something I will continue to repurchase. It's really nice and moisturizing without being like greasy or oily, so if you do struggle with breakouts on your chin a lot caused by lip balm, I think this can be a really great option. It does smell kind of strongly of green tea. It's not the most appealing scent. I know a lot of people like kind of fragrance lip balms, but for me, even though this one does have a scent that you get used to, it's an acquired taste, I think it's a really, really solid formula. I've long been an Anastasia Beverly Hills brow girl. I'm wearing Dip Brow in my brows right now. I'm pretty diehard for ABH brow products. I don't generally buy other brow products, so I'm shocked that I ended up actually keeping this and trying it out, but I'm so glad I did. The Makeup Revolution Pro Volume and Sculpt Brow Gel. This is actually a dupe of the ABH Dip Brow Gel, but I think they did this one so much better than the ABH did because they used a small brush. But basically, this is a really pigmented brow gel that actually functions as kind of like a pomade and brow gel in one. It gives you color and like fills in your brows, but also holds them in place. This is everything for me because I can just swipe this through and it actually does all my brows in one step. My only gripe is that the like lettering on it wears off, so now it says nothing basically. Like you can't tell that it's from Makeup Revolution, but I know in my heart that it's from Makeup Revolution. So I'm in the shade Dark Brown. Highly recommend this. Another brush find that I wouldn't have bought on my own. This is a brand called Refer. They reached out to me and I loved like the kind of simple, aesthetically pleasing design of these brushes. I found myself kind of moving away from like flashy, costumey brushes like this and just moving towards things that are sleek and like ergonomic, easy to handle, and these are absolutely that. What really interested me is the hair. Basically they use a technology that's meant to simulate animal hair, so like natural hair brushes, but synthetic. My favorite Colourpop brushes, these are all synthetic, and synthetic hairs definitely feel different and apply product different from natural hair. And while I have grown to love synthetic brushes, I was very interested to test these out, and they're so good. Like, the most used one I have is the shape 04. This is really good for powder contouring. I love this one for that purpose. And then 05, this is one of my favorite blush brushes. Yeah, these are excellent if you're wanting a good furless alternative to brushes because I don't buy natural hair brushes. These are excellent and amazing quality. And I have some new brushes from them coming in very soon, so I'm very excited for that. Oh, love of my life, and I wouldn't have bought her on my own. This is a palette that I really wanted to buy when it first came out, but it was constantly sold out all the time, so I kind of just forgot about it. This is the Colourpop and I Love Sadahi Through My Eyes palette. I love this color scheme so much, but eventually, like once the new release hype of this died down, I kind of forgot that it was on my wish list. This actually came to me as a surprise, so when I first got added onto Colourpop's PR list, they sent this palette as my kind of like surprise. Welcome to the Colourpop list. And I was so excited. I was like, oh my god, I forgot that that palette A existed because I feel like no one talks about this palette ever. It's something I would have purchased had it been available at the time, but now that I have it in my collection, this I recommend to literally everybody. I want to say one of my favorite, if not my favorite Colourpop eyeshadow palette that I own right now. It's tied between this and the Mulan palette, but I would say go for this one if you're wanting like a more colorful options, and go for the Mulan palette if you're wanting neutrals. But this, so stunning, quality is amazing. I love this palette so much. So glad I have it. These are interesting, and honestly these colors I wouldn't have thought I would like either, but these are two gel blushes from Paul and Joe. It's a Japanese brand, so maybe I might have bought these because I went to Japan last year for spring break. I miss it so much. Mostly just to visit the motherland, but I picked up a lot of skincare there when I was there. Maybe had I been shopping for makeup as well, I probably would have stumbled upon these and bought them. But these were actually sent to me because they heard that I liked cream blushes, which they were correct. And like these shades, wouldn't have bought on my own. We have this kind of like berry burgundy and coral down here, but they're gel blushes, so the formula is actually a very like bouncy cream formula, and they actually apply so nicely. They're almost kind of like cheek stains. These blend really beautifully into the skin, and this is the kind of blush that they give you. So the shades look scary, but they apply beautifully onto the cheeks, and yeah, this is like one of my favorite unexpected finds. Kind of make me want to try more, if not from this brand, just from more Japanese beauty in general, because they're definitely very much into the kind of like more natural, dare I say, Glossier girl vibes of makeup there.
Oh my god, hey baby girl. Have you tried Glossier?
And I'm into it, so yeah. 3 more things. First, the Grande Drama mascara from Grande Cosmetics. I don't buy high-end mascara very often. I pretty much just stick to my Essence Lash Princess. This is a thickening mascara with castor oil. Castor oil is actually really good for making your lashes grow. It's basically like a lash conditioner. And regardless of that, I think this is a really, really beautiful mascara formula. It's very hard for me to find a volumizing mascara that doesn't flake on me. They generally do. I love the brush shape of this one as well. It's a very fat, thick, fluffy brush rather than like a plastic stiff one. Gives you a lot of volume and a nice amount of length as well. I think this is one of the most like just generally effective mascaras I've tried. And I'm somebody who wears false lashes, but I could put this one on a class day and feel good not wearing false lashes. Good Molecules as a entire skincare brand. I'm so glad that I've tried these products out. The overnight exfoliating treatment I might have actually bought on my own, so maybe I'll not talk about that, but I definitely wouldn't have tried out the pineapple exfoliating powder on my own. This is an enzyme powder, and I don't generally go for physical exfoliants, but this one makes my skin feel so soft and it's so incredibly gentle. Reminds me a lot of the Tatcha rice enzyme powder, but a fraction of the cost, and in my opinion, I like the way my skin feels more with this one. So yeah, I've been using this one about once a week. I don't exfoliate a ton just because I am pretty sensitive, and I really like this product a lot. Very affordable, really, really good bang for your buck. And last but not least, I would not have bought Yves Saint Laurent's Touche Éclat. Price probably would have been a barrier for me, but also I wouldn't have really thought that this would be something that would work for me or be targeted towards me. It's not full coverage by any means, so I'm pretty shocked that I like this one, because I do, while I am like a very dewy hoe for my foundation, I am very like, I do go for fuller coverage concealers. This I love because on days when I'm wanting a more natural look for my skin, this does a really beautiful job of evening out my under eyes and bringing a little brightness to them without covering them up and making them look completely flat. Alright guys, that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed down below. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and the tickety talk. And if you made it to the very end of this video, you are a trooper and you get the bonus moon because I love you. Goodbye.